Hello, and welcome to the Concept Artist Podcast, interviewing up-and-coming concept artists to learn what it's like entering the industry today. Matheus Schwartz is a freelance concept artist currently working with a wide range of companies, including Volta, Direwolf Digital, and Piazzo Inc. His work tends to be more stylized, and they express vibrant creativity throughout. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for inviting me. I'm glad to be here.
I'm happy that you're here. So, as a bit of an icebreaker question, what do you consider to be a concept artist, and how would you say it's different from something like an illustrator or a matte painter?
The way I see it, a concept artist is someone who can come up with different ideas and iterations about it. About tons of different things, like you can be doing character, props, environments, creatures, anything the project really needs. And an illustrator is usually someone who will set the final tone for the designs, usually with a pretty polished painting. And about matte painting, I don't know much about it. Only thing I know is there a lot of photo bashing, but it's not something I do in my work right now.
So for your own work, where do you find the most valuable feedback for improvement? Have you cultivated an online community, or do you have a group of colleagues that you like to turn to?
Yes, most of the time it comes from close friends that also work in the industry now, people that I interact almost all the time, so it's easy to get feedback and fresh on stuff when I need it.
Did you meet those friends when you were studying, or?
I met most of them when I just started knowing more about digital painting. I was doing some classes online and I started talking with the other students and we become really close friends to this day.
That's wonderful. Is that around the same time you really started to focus on building your portfolio?
Kinda. Like, when I was doing these classes, every big project we had, I put it in my portfolio. So nowadays I'm trying to be a little more selective with what I post, but some of these old projects still holds pretty nice in there. Like things I did 2-3 years ago, I still have in there.
What are the kinds of things that's really, you said you are a bit more selective. What are some kind of determining factors for what you deem to be good enough for them?
Back in there, I posted everything. Like, if I had some studies, I would post. If I had some really messy sketches, I would post too. But now I'm trying to invest more time in things that I'm hyped about, and trying to show everything I know about it. Like, come up with different solutions for different steps on the pipeline. So every little part of the process, it's important when trying to do a portfolio. It's not just about the final painting.
And what did you have in your portfolio when you were contacted by your first freelance company?
Oh, it was not as much things. I think it was just an illustration and the character concepts for it, and these random studies and sketches. It wasn't a lot of stuff.
About how old were you when that occurred?
I think I was 18, 19 when I got my first job. Like, it was really funny because the very first thing that I did was a box for an All Might action figure, the anime character. They contacted me via Facebook. We chatted for a little bit and I got the job. And I remember at the time that I was so scared of not knowing what to do, but it turned out alright.
What was that experience like?
It was really fun because at the time I was trying to get a job to prove to myself that like art was a real thing, that I can work with it, that I can make a living out of it. So getting a job at the time was really meaningful.
That's wonderful. Nowadays, how do you go about finding the companies that you work for? Do they come to you? Do you go to them? What's kind of the process like?
Most of the time I usually just send an email to the company or their director if I know who it is. And most of the time you also get no response or it's refused. But when it works, I usually it turns to become a client that you work multiple times with. So it's really cool too.
How do you kind of decide that this is a company I want to work with? Is it because you see a listing that they have an opening, or do you perhaps really jive with creations that they've made in the past and think that, you know, I really want to be a part of this, I'm going to reach out to them?
Yeah, most of the time I just tend to search for things that I want to participate in, like things that I really want to paint or draw or make concepts about it. And I try to look for companies that are doing this kind of things. And when I find one, I just search for the email and try to send something and just hope it works.
That's wonderful, though. And what are those processes usually like? I feel like in a lot of facets of the art industry, whether it be concept art all the way to illustration or acting even, you get more no's or just not replies to emails than yeses. But once you do get a yes, is there an interview process, or how does your next step really begin?
The companies that I worked with didn't request any interview. Most of the time you just sign some papers and it's all good to go. But I know there are some that request an interview. I just haven't had an experience with that.
With the companies that you're currently working for, how long have you been working with each of them?
I don't really know exactly, because sometimes you work with the company for a while, then you lost touch for some time, and then you work with it again. It's not a constant job, I think, but most of them I'm in touch for 2-3 years, I think.
Bit of a Schrodinger's employee.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm working, but I'm working there.
Did you have any real expectations going into both your first job where you contacted a company, as well as I would love to know if you had any expectations going into the All Might box job as well, and if either of those matched the reality of either situation at all?
For the All Might work, I didn't have any expectation because they contacted me, so it was a bit of a surprise on my part, and I just tried to do the job. But when I started sending those emails for companies, I think I was really hyped about it, thinking, oh, I'm going to be doing the main protagonist character with all the awesome stuff. But the reality check is that there are a lot more things to do. Sometimes you have to design a necklace or just a helmet, but you learn to enjoy this kind of things too. You're not always gonna be doing the really, really important character.
But you still enjoy doing those things, I hope?
Yes, sure. You kind of have to teach yourself to like it, because you will be doing a lot of those.
What does your average day look like doing those things? Since you are more freelance, do you have a regimented work week when you're quote-unquote on with the company? Or is it more that you're given a task and just you need to finish it by X date?
Yeah, I try to be really organized when doing clients' jobs or my personal stuff. Like, I try to wake up at 8 a.m. usually, eat breakfast, and then just start to work until lunch. Then I take a quick break and come back to work until 6 p.m. again. I have hours for doing every little thing in the day. And after the work hours, I usually go to the gym to do some exercise. Then I come back and try to chill for a little bit, and maybe work a little more if I'm feeling it.
And is that a Monday to Friday situation? Do you give yourself weekends, or are you just pumping straight through?
Sometimes you have to pump straight through weekends because there's a lot of job to do, but most of the time I try to chill for a little bit to get some rest.
True.
Yeah, you gotta have a chill moment once in a while.
Oh yeah. So I take it that most of your work is remote then?
Yeah, I do it all in my own room. I don't have a studio yet, but I just chill in my room on my PC and work for freelance.
Is that the way you'd say you prefer it? Or do you think that you would prefer to be in studio? Or do you I guess since there's not a frame of reference, you're just like, I like it this way.
Like, I think I would enjoy trying out some studio experience someday, but right now I'm just chilling, just doing my own thing and waiting for a opportunity, I think.
When you say waiting for the opportunity, is there a real set kind of unicorn dream opportunity that you're looking at on the horizon?
I think that there are companies that I would like to work with, but I try to not think too much about it, to not limit myself to only those companies.
Tunnel.
If a good opportunity come, I will be happy to accept it.
Yeah, that makes sense, yes.
Yeah, sometimes we get too tunnel vision in just one thing and forget that there are a lot more things to do.
We discussed beforehand that these questions were greenlit, but I just want to reiterate again that you can change your mind. For freelance work, how did you kind of come across deciding how much you were going to charge for your prices? Or does it vary from company to company? Or do they kind of make an offer and you can say yes or no?
Yeah, most of the times the companies have already a set price for the job. For card games, for example, I worked from around $200 to $400 per card. And for characters, around $150 too. But it's all set by the company for me. I recognize that these are also some really entry-level payouts, and I would probably charge a little more if I was working on the same projects again, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. It's all things that I feel like a lot of artists, especially when they're starting out, don't really know how to come to the conclusion of what they should charge people.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of people nowadays working with commissions, and this you have to set for yourself, so it can be a little tricky on how much you charge. But for companies, most of them will have their own price for you.
So we've got some extra time if you're down to answer some extra questions.
Yeah, sure.
Awesome.
I'm down for it.
So when you were first starting out, and this can be either 18-year-old, fresh, ready to make some All Might box art, or this can be starting to freelance more, I don't want to say more professionally, but what were some of the most common mistakes you found yourself making when you really started? Because we all make mistakes.
Yeah, and I was thinking about it, but I don't really know any specific mistakes, but something that I try to do is really be aware of the team feedback or the company feedback that you're working with, and try to apply the best I can. And as long as I'm doing that and giving my best in each step, I think the whole process should be fine. I think it can get a little tricky when you just don't listen to the team feedback. I think that is the most common mistake I see people doing, just ignoring it for some reason.
Oh yeah. Feedback is very important. I think we all have something to learn.
Yeah, we can learn from everybody, like not just from close friends, but from the team you're working with.
Oh, most certainly. When it comes to art in general, what is the thing that gets you most excited about your art?
Right now, I really enjoy the part of the process in coming up with different ideas and exploring different stories in characters and illustrations. I'm trying to do my own personal project right now, and I'm really excited in writing and exploring the story behind that. It's really, really hard, but it's also rewarding to develop my own thing and come up with these different characters and illustrations and environments and everything else.
I would love to hear more about your personal story that you're working on right now and kind of what your achievements with that have been, or just also like what you've learned while working on that.
The thing is that I do a lot of reading with especially fantasy books. Like I'm reading Lord of the Rings right now and all the Tolkien series, and it's really inspiring to see how he achieved all those things just writing it. And I'm trying to do a little of it in drawing, like come up with a whole new culture with whole new elements. And it's really, really hard, but I'm just trying to choose things that I like right now and I liked when I was just a child, like especially dragons. There are a lot of dragons in this this universe.
I've seen some fun, almost dragon-esque birds in some of your creature sketches.
It's from my project, like the very beginning of it. I just trying to explore this thing in my own way and come up with my own solutions for these props.
I like it. It gives me the feel of how dinosaurs were probably a lot more bird-like than, you see in Jurassic Park, the combination of feathers and scales. It gives me very much that feeling. I like it a lot.
Yeah, because it's an old subject, né? Dragons and dinosaurs, and I think it's really interesting when people do a little twist in it, give their own vision about the subject and come up with a new way to see it and to show off to the world.
Oh yeah. And especially because who doesn't love a good dragon?
Yeah, dragons are really, really cool.
Exactly.
I love them.
So when it comes to the beginning creation process of your art, do you utilize 3D at all? Or how have you seen, perhaps by your friends or community online, 3D being utilized?
I don't really use it personally. I have a 2D process, but it's something that I would like to try out in the future. There are a lot of people using it right now, so must be worth a shot. I can see a lot of people doing amazing things in 3D, so I want to try out in the future.
Oh yeah, I know I personally think 3D is a lot of fun, so I'd recommend it. Mm-hmm.
Seems to help a lot out in the process. I can get a little confused when doing things in a traditional way.
Yeah.
Especially perspective. It's always hard to set the right tone.
Oh yeah. Would you consider yourself someone that has a definitive art style?
I don't even know if I have a style. Like, what I tend to do is just have a collection of reference with my favorite artworks that I check from time to time and try to explore different things and come up with different results. Like, I think style is just something other people notice when looking into other people's artwork. Most of the time we're just trying to do our own stuff and didn't even think much about it, at least for me. I'm just trying to explore things in my own way, but I can't define my style right now.
I think that is a good way of looking at it, though, that it's something that other people notice, but that we don't always necessarily notice in ourselves.
Yeah, because I see a lot of young artists especially, like they're starting out in art and looking for their own style, and I think it can get a little tricky, because like the best way to find a style, I think, is just learning fundamentals and exploring different things in art, not thinking heavily about it.
Mm-hmm. When it comes to art, but also non-art related experiences, what are kind of the non-art related experiences in your life that find their way and sneak into your creative process?
As I said, I do a lot of reading. I really like fantasy books and different stories and narratives. Other than that, I just play video games, watch shows, animes, nothing that crazy, but I think it's important to stimulate your mind with different ideas in a fun way. And it reflects a lot when doing art, like you have different ideas from watching a show or watching a movie. You can use it all in drawing. Oh
yeah. Is that kind of how you spend a lot of your free time when you're not working?
Yeah, for sure. I like to hang out with my friends and we usually play some games or watch something together, just enjoying those things.
Are the video games you play and the things you watch kind of a similar genre to the art you create, or is it just the complete opposite?
Uh, some of them. Like, I had a phase where when I just playing a lot of League of Legends, and at the time I tried to do some splash arts, so I think it reflects in a way, but nowadays I still play it once in a while, but I'm not in the splash art vibe anymore. I'm just trying to explore different things. And once in a while we'll have a game like Journey. I played Journey and I was so inspired to do art. I did a fun art and it was awesome. Their game is really, really beautiful. I still want to do more art for it.
You should. I loved your fan art that I saw of it.
Oh, thank you. It was really enjoyable doing it.
That's definitely one of those games that I think everyone should play at least once.
Yes. You played it too?
Yes.
Yeah. It was a beautiful, beautiful game. The soundtrack is amazing. Everything's so, so great.
It's really splendidly done.
I really like that you can find other people in the game while playing it. And it's still a solo gameplay.
It's a very interesting mechanic.
Yeah, it's different from anything else.
So, artistically speaking, do you have a goal in mind for your future? Is there something that's driving you forward, encompassing all of this? I know that can be a very loaded question.
Yeah, it is. I think right now I'm just trying to do my own things, like exploring this universe that I'm trying to create. And I'm not thinking much about any job experience or job company that I would like to work with. I'm just trying to do things for myself, or once in a while can be really helpful to get my mind in the right place on the things that I like and want to do.
That seems like a really healthy, positive way of looking at things.
I try to be a little bit. It's healthy for the mind, not to stress much about the world situation and anything else. Just focus on myself a little.
Yeah. We all gotta try our best.
Yeah. The world can be a scary place sometimes.
Oh, definitely. Especially these past couple years.
Yeah. COVID has been really hard sometimes.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much again for coming in today and sharing your story with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a really, really nice experience. I'm glad to be here.
Oh, I'm so glad. While I still have you, do you have any platforms or projects that you'd like to give a little shout out to?
I think I can just shout out my own platforms, like my ArtStation, and all my social medias are under Matheus Schwartz. So feel free to contact me, anyone.
Definitely, and I will be linking to those as well, so people can easily find you.
Nice.
And if anyone sees your work and listens to this and thinks, I would love to work with this delightful human, how should they go about contacting you?
If they have my social medias, they can just send a message there or just email me. I will be happy to participate in any project available.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you again for being here today. And thank you everyone for listening. If you are a concept artist or know one who might be interested in coming on the show, please let me know and have a wonderful rest of your day.
See ya. Bye-bye.